So this is sadly for the Zoomers, the Gen Zs out there. I feel kind of bad for them because they're walking into the buzzsaw of probably the worst financial social disaster in 1,000 years. Whereas for us boomers, we're like, oh well, we had a great 40 years, you know, But for the Zoomers and the millennials, though, it's a dire situation. So I would encourage the younger generations, load up on Bitcoin because that is definitely a way to create a bulwark against what I perceive to be a growing cascade of interlocking and reinforcing problems over the past few hundred years. Obviously, the gold has become the number one money because it has great attributes. If you're somebody traveling around and you need a medium of exchange in a way that it gives you the ability to travel through time, because gold's purchasing power due to its scarcity remains constant, and it allows you to travel through space because it's somewhat portable. It's divisible, it's fungible. So with gold, you have the ability to be free, to walk anywhere. I think you can go anywhere in the world. If I have gold, they'll take it. That's the great thing about gold. Flash forward to Bitcoin. Bitcoin does everything that gold and money we expect it to do, except it does it better. It does it in the digital age. It's more secure, it's more portable, everything that we talk about Bitcoin. So Bitcoin represents the long search for perfect money. In that sense. And as a result, it has caused massive nervous, neurological problems in people who are incapable of handling this idea of perfect money. Again, so you have someone like a Sam Bankman-Fried who looks at the quote unquote crypto market and becomes the biggest crook in history. And then you have somebody like a Michael Saylor or a President Bukele who looks at it and says, this is actually a way to help or engineer our lives and our economy in ways that are going to benefit everybody. So it has this is where we're at now with Bitcoin. It's cleaving the society. I don't like to throw in biblical references really, because it's contentious and everybody throws a fit. But nevertheless, the literature in various religions is outstanding at times. And you learn a lot from reading books like the Bible. And so with Bitcoin, similarly, once you get the Bitcoin meme and once it's in your mind and it's kicking around and rearranging your brain, it doesn't stop. You don't wake up tomorrow and like, well, that Bitcoin thing was interesting, but I'm going to start crocheting now and making puppets for dogs. Now, it's still working in your brain, whether you want it or not. So I think we're at a point where there's no turning back, for humanity. Not to be overly dramatic, but I think that given the current state of affairs around the world, and with the fiat money machine now going into hyperbolic overdrive, and all the excesses that were brought on by fiat money, all of the, the malinvestments that are made possible through the money printers, has created a dystopian nitmare. Stacy and I were traveling in Mexico City a few years ago, and we stumbled into this art exhibit really spontaneously. It was actually held at their bank. It might have been one of their central banks. They had an art exhibit in the actual building. And I saw something there that I think about almost every other day. I think about this. And this is a moment of aesthetic transformation where I saw a work of art. The artist was in my brain and rearranging furniture involuntarily. I had no choice in the matter. I simply saw the world differently. It was a piece where you have a set of stairs that are going down facing a mirror, and on the top of the staircase you had people, and then subsequent steps down the stairs, presumably the afterlife. These people would become who they truly are. So one person became a tomato. One person became a monster. One person became an angel. And they see themselves in the mirror. So it's very clear that they're the self-reflection in the mirror of their, let's say, the moment of death, which brought about the ultimate confrontation with oneself, revealed in the mirror who they really are. And I think Bitcoin does that because it has aesthetic qualities that resonate deeply in our souls and in our imagination and in our consciousness and our collective unconscious that are involuntary, spontaneous, overwhelming, and transformative. And it happens all day long. I've played with it my whole life. I've avoided it, played with it, danced around it. And it's been a struggle, actually, because Bitcoin is a way to stay focused, because it's the engineering is so beautiful. The incentive model is so perfectly balanced, and it'll bring you peace. Bitcoin is peace. Bitcoin is peace. Bitcoin is love. And if you open yourself to the protocol, it can heal you. If you are unsettled, if you're imbalanced, if you're in pain, if you open yourself to the aesthetic beauty of Bitcoin, it will heal you. It will heal you. You'll be healed. You'll be healed. It's all in this book right here on Amazon for $9.99. You too can be healed, brother. The Bitcoin is a great unifying thing for all people and humanity, because it solves a lot of things. You can travel with it. I can go anywhere in the world now with Bitcoin, and I can use it. I can get to point A to point B. I have a store of wealth that's inflation proof, so it gives me some sense of property and self-sovereignty. It's obviously growing quite rapidly. The adoption is growing. Level 2 is growing. Countries like El Salvador are making it legal tender. So I think this is what the great story in the 2023, 2024 is going to be. A lot of people just moving to El Salvador. They want to live in a country that respects happiness, pursuit of happiness, property, individual sovereignty, with a president who is absolutely perfectly happy just doing stuff that you'd want your president to do. Build infrastructure, reform pensions so that they make sense. Like, he just does common sense stuff. But we live in a world where common sense is seen as an unbelievable act of revolution. I hearken back to John F. Kennedy, who famously asked people to think about what they could do for their country. And it gave rise to the Peace Corps, and it gave rise to a whole youth, as they used to call it, movement, which was unique, really, for I think the past 50 or 60 or 70 years. I don't think we've seen really anything like that. There's certainly that element to it. So, but people are going to be moving here. I think there's just going to be a huge wave of people. If 80 or 90,000 people are going to go to a festival in the desert in the middle of nowhere, like, think about 80,000 people go to Burning Man to get 3 or 4 days worth of consciousness raising human experience. Well, why not just move to El Salvador and have that every day of your life for the rest of your life? You don't need to go to Burning Man. Just move here. This is the perpetual Burning Man.